10 reasons people may suddenly hate you. Human relationships can be messy, confusing, and unpredictable. One day, someone seems friendly or neutral toward you, and the next, they're cold, distant, irritated, or even openly hostile. When people suddenly turn against you, it can feel like emotional whiplash. You begin questioning everything, your actions, your personality, and even your worth. But the truth is, sudden dislike rarely comes out of nowhere. And surprisingly, it's often not about you at all. Most people project their insecurities outward. They fear being exposed, judged, or compared. They misunderstand your intentions or feel threatened by something you carry, something you may not even realize is powerful. 1. They feel exposed by your honesty. Some people claim they want honesty, but what they actually want is validation. They want reassurance, comfort, agreement, not truth. When you speak with sincerity, clarity, or emotional accuracy, it can make people feel as if you can see through them. Your honesty might highlight behaviors they've been avoiding, reveal issues they've been denying, challenge the identity they've constructed, remove illusions they depend on. For someone who hides behind masks or false confidence, encountering a straightforward person feels threatening. They begin associating you with discomfort, and instead of acknowledging their insecurity, they turn that discomfort into resentment. For example, if you calmly point out inconsistent behavior, if you refuse to lie to protect their ego, if you speak truth in a room where truth is usually avoided, people may react defensively. To them, you're not honest. You're harsh, critical, too blunt, or judgmental, even when your delivery is gentle. They hate you because you expose what they're not ready to face. 2. They're jealous of your success or talents. Jealousy is a powerful and destructive emotion. It eats away at people quietly, often without them even realizing it. Your success, no matter how small you think it is, can trigger deep resentment in others, especially if they compare themselves to you. People may envy your natural talents, your work ethic, your emotional intelligence, your achievements, your confidence, your potential. The most painful part, you may not even be trying to succeed. You may simply be improving your life, following your passions, or doing something you enjoy. Yet someone who feels stuck, stagnant, or inadequate might interpret your progress as a personal attack. To them, your growth is proof of their stagnation. Your shine highlights their shadows. Your victories remind them of their failures. So instead of improving themselves, they may choose the easier route, resentment. 3. You set boundaries. One of the quickest ways to trigger someone's anger is to establish boundaries, especially with people who benefit from you having none. When you say, "No, I can't do that anymore. This makes me uncomfortable. I need space," that crosses a line. You instantly shift the dynamic. People who respected you will understand, but people who relied on your silence, compliance, or availability will feel threatened. To toxic, manipulative, or entitled individuals, boundaries feel like rejection, loss of control, insult, disobedience, disloyalty. Instead of adjusting their behavior, they demonize yours. They create narratives like, "You've changed. You're selfish now. You're acting superior. You're overreacting." But the truth is simple. They hate you because you stopped making their comfort your responsibility. 4. You empathize too deeply. Deep empathy is a superpower, but not everyone appreciates it. Some people feel uncomfortable around those who can read emotions intuitively, especially if they're trying to hide something or maintain emotional walls. Your ability to understand others can make them feel seen, exposed, vulnerable, transparent. For people who depend on emotional distance or denial, your insight feels intrusive, even if you never say a word. Empaths often unintentionally trigger others by picking up on unspoken tension, understanding hidden motivations, noticing emotional inconsistencies, anticipating reactions intuitively. People who fear vulnerability interpret this as a threat. In essence, they don't hate your empathy. They hate that you can see the things they're trying desperately to hide from the world, and sometimes from themselves. 5. You refuse to seek approval. A person who doesn't seek validation is powerful, too powerful for some. Many people rely on approval seeking to form social hierarchies. They expect others to impress them, ask for their input, seek their permission, follow their lead. When you don't play into that dynamic, they feel invalidated. Your independence threatens people who need to feel superior or influential. They interpret your self-reliance as arrogance, rebellion, disrespect, uncooperativeness, but really, you just don't need their validation. People who rely on external approval often resent those who don't. 6. You reveal uncomfortable truths. Sometimes your presence alone reveals truths that others try to ignore. This doesn't require confrontation or even conversation. It can be your lifestyle, values, or behavior that challenges their choices. For example, your discipline exposes their lack of self-control. Your positivity exposes their bitterness. Your ambition exposes their complacency. Your kindness exposes their selfishness. People may hate you because you unintentionally remind them of who they could be, but choose not to be. They resent the mirror you represent, especially if they've been avoiding reality for a long time. 7. Your authenticity highlights their inauthenticity. Being authentic in a world full of masks is rare and polarizing. Authenticity requires self-awareness, courage, vulnerability, emotional integrity. Not everyone has these qualities. Many people build entire identities around performance, approval, and social expectations. When they meet someone genuinely themselves, it rattles them. Your authenticity makes their facade feel flimsy. People may react with envy, distrust, annoyance, judgment, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you remind them of how much of their life is performative. Your freedom highlights their emotional prison. 8. Your presence triggers self-reflection. Some people simply don't want to reflect on themselves. They avoid introspection because it requires confronting mistakes, trauma, regrets, flaws, unhealed wounds. But certain personalities naturally trigger self-reflection in others, especially those who are intuitive, emotionally intelligent, or self-aware. When someone is forced to reflect on themselves, they may feel shame, guilt, embarrassment, inferiority. Instead of processing these emotions, they attach them to you. Suddenly, you become the problem, even though the discomfort is coming from within them. 9. You don't tolerate toxic behavior. Toxic people thrive on those who tolerate their behavior. When you stop accepting manipulation, gaslighting, guilt-tripping, disrespect, double standards, irresponsibility, they lose the power they had over you. And this triggers hostility. You might hear things like, "You're being dramatic. You're the toxic one. I didn't do anything wrong. You're too sensitive." People who are used to mistreating others often retaliate when someone stops allowing it. Their hatred is actually a tantrum, a reaction to losing control. 10. They project their issues onto you. Projection is one of the most common psychological defenses. People internalize negative emotions they can't process and redirect them onto someone else, you. They may project guilt, insecurity, jealousy, fear, anger, shame. Suddenly, you become the villain in a story that was never about you. For example, someone who feels inadequate may accuse you of thinking you're better than everyone. Someone who is dishonest may accuse you of lying. Someone who is insecure may accuse you of judging them. People who haven't dealt with their emotional baggage often dump it on the nearest available target. Their hatred is just a reflection of their internal chaos. When people suddenly hate you, it's rarely because of anything you did. It's almost always triggered by something inside them. A wound, a fear, an insecurity, a weakness, an unresolved issue. You simply became the mirror they didn't want to face. Instead of questioning your worth, reflect on who you trigger and why. It might say more about your strength than their hatred.